today I wanted to talk about some sweet horror films that you can watch with your family that are very loving and wholesome. I'm totally joking. These movies are about murder, betrayal, and more murder. Yeah, okay, so I put together a list of movies that I thought were good to watch on Thanksgiving. These obviously aren't sweet, wholesome movies. They are horror films, but they're about families who either betray each other or revenge stories or a family of killers that murders other people. So let's get into it. So the first movie I want to recommend to you today is the movie Sinister. Now, I actually love this film a lot. I think it's one of the better paranormal newer films that have been made. I think this was made in 2012 if I'm not mistaken, and I love this film. So first let me tell you what it's about. It's about a family who moves into a new house. The father is a writer. He writes true crime novels, and they actually move into the house where a family was murdered and the crime was never solved. A young girl has gone missing, and so he thinks that he could maybe find something that the cops missed and solve the crime. Well, when he ends up moving into the house, he finds a box of homemade videos that are actually murders of different families that have taken place over the span of like 60 years or something like that. 60 years? 20 years? 30 years? 50 years? Over a long time. And he uses those as evidence to try to piece together what is really going on. This movie, I think if I could just talk about how much I like it for a second. I know that this didn't get like the best reviews, and I'm just not really sure why. So if you hate this movie, let me know why you didn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. The soundtrack for this film is fantastic. I think that it was put together really well, kind of like everything is there for a reason, everything pushes the plot along. I think it hits all of the horror tropes without making you feel like you've seen the movie a million times. Like, I feel like it is a new, fresh twist on kind of all those traditional horror tropes. I love Ethan Hawke. He a little bit reminds me of Kevin Bacon, which is maybe why I love him so much, you know. And no, I cannot do a video without talking about my love for Kevin Bacon. Oh, the family films are so terrifying. The one with the zzz, what do you call those? Zzz, you know, and then the zzz, lawnmower. The one with the lawnmower, especially terrifying. There's a big twist at the end, but a lot of the times when you have twists in films, they are cool the first time you see them, but then you don't usually go back and revisit that film that much because you've already seen it, you know the twist, and there's no point in revisiting the film. However, with this one, I feel like that twist at the end isn't the only reason why you watch the film. Like, everything else is really good as well. So I watch this film quite often. So I just love this one. I think it's great. Again, some family betrayal for you, a story about a family that, you know, encounters something that they don't quite understand, and the father tries to figure things out. Will he figure it out? Will it be too late? Watch the film if you haven't. I really enjoy this one. So next up, I want to recommend Hellraiser. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I am a huge fan of Hellraiser. My fiance proposed with a Hellraiser box. I wore a Hellraiser shirt to my wedding. Hellraiser is just one of my favorite films ever made. I love Clive Barker. I think he's a genius. I love The Hellbound Heart. The film is fantastic. End of story. So this movie is about a man named Frank who tries to find otherworldly pleasures. He gets this box that, when it opens, leads him to these Cenobites that bring him into this other dimension where he can experience pain beyond anything fathomable to us here on Earth. He finds kind of a way out of it with the accidental spilling of his brother's blood, and then after that he's able to come back to Earth, but he's weak and only partly him, and he uses his brother's wife as kind of a pawn to help him regain his body so that he can come back to Earth and, you know, skip out on the Cenobites. He's not a fan of the Cenobites like he thought he would be. So he uses Julia, his brother's wife, to lure men in so that he can kind of suck the life out of him, and then slowly he can rebuild his form. So this is definitely a movie about betrayal, about a family bond. It's just a good one, you know? It's a great film. I recommend it to everybody. So I'm sure you guys have seen it, but I think it's especially good around this time of year. I don't know why I thought, oh, I'm gonna make a video about Thanksgiving horror films that has nothing to do with Thanksgiving and is just about families murdering and betraying each other. The next one I want to recommend is House of a Thousand Corpses. So this, of course, is about the Firefly family. And they are a group of family. No, they are a family who likes to murder people. So they all work together, they protect each other, but they also like to partake in killing cheerleaders and whatnot. Now, this movie is definitely not my favorite Rob Zombie film. In fact, I think The Devil's Rejects is a million times better. However, this one fits my list just a little bit more. There's definitely more family and camaraderie in this one, whereas The Devil's Rejects, although there is still, some of the family is still together, there's a lot of betrayal and things like that, which lead to their demise, but then maybe not demise because they come back with 3 from hell. So I thought they were murdered. They were shot like 87 times. I should probably watch the 3rd one, but I can't really get over the fact that they were shot 100 times. How are you shot 100 times and then you survive? I really don't know. Anyway, sorry, that was a little tangent. But House of a Thousand Corpses, it's not my favorite horror film. A lot of it is just like too on the nose for me, but I think that obviously it led to The Devil's Rejects, which is a film that I love, so I gotta pay respect where it's due. Next up, I am going to talk about Hereditary. This is a film that I watched last night until 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had trouble sleeping, and then my humidifier made some kind of noise that was like, and then I jumped out of bed and I was really freaked out. Then I realized it was my humidifier, and then I finally fell asleep. So this story is about a family who loses their grandmother, and they're kind of trying to navigate that. There's a lot of tension between a few of the family members. They are also, I think I could say this without ruining the film because I think it's really evident if you pay close enough attention and really listen to what's being said and watch what's being said, but they really are just kind of like pawns in a game again. They don't have as much free will as they think they do, and kind of things are pre-planned for them. They end up experiencing a lot of hardship, a lot of grief and death, as well as some run-ins with the paranormal. The mother kind of gets shown how to connect with her daughter, and all hell breaks loose from there. That's all I will say. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend. I mean, I really do like this film. I think it's creepy and fun, and I gotta tell you, I watched this movie in theaters, and there's one scene in the middle of the film that kind of sets the tone for everything to unfold for you. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And during that scene, the movie theater was absolutely silent. Like, the tension was so palpable. I have never seen a scene in a movie theater that was so effective. I mean, truly, you could have heard a pin drop in there. It was insane, and all of us were just like, you could feel everyone's breath being held. It was such an intense moment, and I'm so thankful that I got to experience that. Also, during that film too, the lights turned off and the movie stopped playing, and it was just like a white screen, and so everybody was doing like hand puppets. It was a fun time. So I just really enjoyed that movie experience in general. But anyways, back to what I was saying. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend. Next up, I'm going to recommend You're Next. Now, this is by no means my favorite horror film ever made. However, I think that it fits this category absolutely brilliantly. So it's about a family who goes up to visit their mom and dad for their anniversary, and all of the siblings bring their significant others as well. So it's like this huge family dinner. They're sitting and having this glorious feast, and everything's so beautiful. Someone gets shot in the head with an arrow, and all hell ensues from there. So they're just trying to obviously survive the attack, but as well as figure out what happened. And this one is just, I think, perfect for this time of year. Truly, it does remind you of like a Thanksgiving setting. So yeah, those are 5 horror movies that I would recommend to watch this week. I don't know, this video seems weird now that I'm talking about it. I was trying to make them all like You're Next, where there's like a big family gathering and blah blah blah, but there's not a whole lot of movies that I can think of that are centered around that sort of dynamic, so I kind of expanded it and made it kind of about like murder, betrayal, and all sorts of stuff. So that is it for my video today. Stick around because on Thursday I'm going to talk about the worst horror Thanksgiving film that has ever been made. So I will see you Thursday with that. There was something else I want to say. Oh yeah, and I hope you guys have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving on Thursday. At the very least, you can watch these and be like, okay, my family's not so bad, right? My day is not so bad. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you Thursday with another horror video. Bye, guys.